little darling, where can you be again tonight, while the moon is shining bright? I wonder my heart is aching. Why for you can our love be mistaken? Darling, don't you say that this must mean our ending. I wonder. Baby, I've been through Lover's Lane. I've been making life just the same. I've been traveling for miles around, trying to find the one I love, call my own. I wonder, well, little baby.
The first SETI experiment was almost 50 years ago now. Frank Drake did that experiment in 1960. Next April, that will be 50 years. But we've, generally only done this experiment part-time. In other words, we would borrow somebody else's antenna. And so that's very difficult. That's like doing cancer research, but always having to borrow a microscope. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not so discouraged, because these days we're trying to build our own telescope, the Allen Telescope Array, and that would allow you to use it all the time. And so that's, at least 10 times more observing every year. So that speeds things up. The other thing, though, is that SETI is mostly digital electronics. It's computers. And the fact that computer power keeps getting cheaper, so it doubles every 18 months. Well, the speed of SETI doubles every 18 months, too. So I think that's one of the reasons you don't get discouraged. Michael Crichton wrote a lot of popular sort of sci-fi novels. He gave a talk down at Caltech in which he said SETI is just a religion. Now, two things about that. If it were a religion to begin with, I bet we'd have a lot more money. That's for sure. But beyond that, I think if there were religion, there would be some sort of catechism, or there would be high priests. Some people would say there are, but I don't think so. And there would be followers. I don't know. There would be some sort of doctrine. I think it's hard to make that argument. But to say that it's spiritual, it's spiritual, but no more than, for example, looking for Antarctica was spiritual, right? Captain Cook went down, as far as south as he could go before he hit the ice, looking for Antarctica, because people had debated that since, well, at least for a couple thousand years. Is there a big continent down there or not? We know how fast the antennas are going to be. We know how fast the search will be, assuming that we continue doing the search and that the Allen Telescope Array gets built. We don't know how many star systems you have to check out before you find ET. Maybe you never do, but if you think there are at least 10,000 societies that are broadcasting strong signals in the galaxy, then you have to look at about 1 million star systems to find one, because not all stars are equally likely. So how long is it going to take you to search 1 million star systems? Well, with the Allen Array, you can do that in 24 years. Frank Drake thinks there are 10,000 civilizations. Carl Sagan thought there were 1 million. Isaac Asimov thought there were 500,000. Right? Those are all numbers that are guesses. But if any of those guesses is right, then the experiment should succeed in this coming generation. It's not something like building cathedrals. It's either going to work or then there's something wrong. There could be, lots of things that are wrong about our assumptions. But if the assumptions are about right, then this should work pretty quickly. I do think that if we don't find anything by 2050, then I think That's a threshold for me. That says that we're doing the wrong experiment. Yeah, that's what it would tell me. I think you would never get me to say that there's nobody out there. That just seems so unlikely. But of course, that's just my belief in the matter. Right? That's not science. It's just my personal view. But I don't think I would change my personal view, because there would always be reasons why you wouldn't find them. There's always thousands of ways not to find them. But if we didn't find them with this sort of experiment by 2050, then I think it's time to start a different kind of experiment altogether, because this is obviously missing something important. And maybe by then, of course, physics will have changed a little bit. And maybe physics will give us some indication of some better way to communicate that makes the methods that we're looking for, radio waves, pulsing light. And we may learn that, well, that actually isn't very efficient, or it's not the way they would do it. I mean, it would be like in the 1860s, there were scientists in Europe who thought we should signal the Martians with gas lanterns and mirrors. And, 100 years later, they think, well, that is probably not the best way. That may happen to us. I suppose it's likely that it'll happen to us. But on the other hand, that's always an excuse for not doing an experiment. You can always say, well, 100 years from now it'll be better. Well, so what?
I wonder, my little darling, where can you be again tonight, while the moon is shining bright? I wonder, my heart is aching, why for you can our love be mistaken? Darling, don't you say that this must mean our ending, I wonder. Baby, I've been through Lover's Lane. I've been making life just the same. I've been traveling for miles around, trying to find the one I love, call my own. I wonder, well, 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 little baby, will you think of me every day? Though I may be a million miles away, I wonder. Well, 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 little baby, will you think of me every day? Though I may be a million miles away,